Hello, welcome everybody. Welcome to this special occasion that we are celebrating today since it is 8th of March. As you know, it's the International Women's Day. And here at the ICN2, we wouldn't like to miss this point, this meeting point for everybody. We are living very strange times. And we have organized an event that we think it's interesting for all of you. But the shape of this event is really, let's say, singular, and it's going into the new era, new generation of communication. Here, we are in the auditorium, as you may see, where the communication and marketing department have organized an amazing stage where to celebrate this roundtable discussion, in which several ICN2 women researchers will participate. So first of all, I would like to thank you for this technological and this technical support provided by the department. And I'm going to introduce you the event that we are celebrating. Okay, 8th of March, it's International Day of Women. And we wanted to turn into the discussion or take advantage of this meeting point to open a discussion about how was the impact of 2020 in women in their professional environment. So we have entitled this event International Teleworking Women's Day, and we will have the opportunity to hear and discuss about the experiences of several of our researchers that went through this period, this strange time for everybody, and share their personal experiences and open the debate. I think we are open to questions as well. So please use the text box or use the question and answers box to deliver or opinions, questions, so that we can include them in the debate. I will proceed to present all the debate members. There is Dr. Neus Bastus. She's a senior researcher from the Inorganic Nanoparticles Group. We also have Dr. Elena Del Corro, which is senior postdoctoral researcher at the Advanced Electronic Materials and Devices Group. We also have Dr. Sonia Ruiz Braga, senior researcher as well from the Nanostructured Materials for Photovoltaic Energy Group. Finally, Nuria Benitez. She is the Institutional Strategy Development member and part of the Strategy Development Office. Finally, we will try to include Sophia, sorry, I will pronounce this in the wrong way, Soirji. She is the assistant of the health and safety area. She, unfortunately, and you know how this situation goes, unfortunately, she has not been able to join us because of this pandemic situation. So maybe we can count on her opinion online. We will try to provide with contact on her. And if not, just please recover and stay healthy. All this debate will not be possible with a nice moderator. And I'm sure that we found the very best person in the Institute who can make this discussion really fruitful and interesting. And that is Dr. Justine Ryan. She's a senior postdoctoral researcher as well from the Advanced Electronic Materials and Devices Group. So I will just give them the word so that they can start discussing, start exchanging opinions. But I would like you to stay until the end of this event, because as you see in the program, there is also a special event that's coming up, which is the ceremony awards for the program, this Women Talent program that we have in the Institute, in which we will announce which are the best papers and best PhD theses winners for the 2020 period. So thank you very much once again for your attention, and the stage is all of them.
Well, hello everyone. As a this beautiful introduction, I'm Justin, and I will be moderating today's event. So we came up with a list of questions that I'd like to start, and we'll go ahead and we'll start with Sonia. So each of you here are representative of different jobs at the ICN2. Some of you work in a lab on a day-to-day basis, others from an office, and I have a bunch of questions related from your perspective of how things have gone over this last year. So first, I would like to know, how did the total lockdown affect your ability to work and your work-life balance?
Yeah, thank you for inviting me here. So I have to say that I arrived to ICN2 in very special circumstances because I came back from Australia last March and I started working here in June. It was not total lockdown, but we could not come to Barcelona to live, so I had to start working remotely from 400 kilometers away. And yeah, it was a bit challenging because we had to set up a working space in the place we were in our lockdown. And I was 7 months pregnant as well. So we...
Sonia, sorry, could you pick up the microphone and use it, please?
Oh, sorry. No? Okay. So yeah, these were special circumstances because I started working in June while pregnant and in a temporary house that was not our own house. So we had to like gather things to make a workspace in that house. So it's like having a screen, a computer and everything. So it was a bit challenging during these 2 first months before the birth of my baby because I had to start preparing my project online while like trying to ask for quotes and things like that, everything that I could do remotely without coming to ICN2. So then after my maternity leave, I had to also work remotely most of the time, even the lockdown was not that strict. That was in December. And that was also challenging because we had to share the baby care and the remote working. So I believe that without lockdown and with more facilities to bring the child to the childcare, that would be easier. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing. Do you does anyone have anything to add on that? I mean, not everyone has the same exact extremities of a situation coming from Australia, of course, which has its own set of challenges moving across the world. I open up the floor to the rest of you. Did anyone have I'm imagining some of you were here the entire time. Was there a different experience from that perspective? Maria, perhaps?
Well, thanks for inviting me too. And yes, at home we are 4 people. I have 2 teenagers at home, and we started working all at home. So we needed to build like 4 different places to work or to study in a full day basis. So it was not that easy, and I think that the most difficult thing was to make it balanced, because it was the most important lesson was to learn how to balance it and to keep everybody's needs in place. But yeah, the most complicated thing was that to balance all working needs and our family needs in a crowded room with 4 people. We needed to change like some rules at home because we didn't want our kids to have their own computer in their own room with cameras on apart from us, because our ideal situation was not that. Was that when they will be sharing a camera and a computer with others, all will be around, but it was impossible that way. So we needed to change a lot of things on our idea of connected family.
Thanks. And so I think the next logical question would be, how has the situation changed now that the restrictions have been lifted and we are in a little bit more of a new normal, as it's been called? Elena, would you like to expand on that?
Okay, thank you for inviting me too. Well, for me, the difference totally with the previous situation is that the schools and the kindergarten open, no? So because this changed everything. At the beginning, it was difficult to find to be honest, it was difficult to find 8 hours to work. Even I had my mom's help, but still. So now with the kindergarten, for me, I have to say that it's quite easy because I kind of do both telework and I come to the lab, so I don't feel trapped at home, and I can still come. So this, I would say that this is the biggest difference, because before, it's true that it was difficult to find the balance, as Nuria said, and also difficult to disconnect, because you have the feeling that you were not working enough. So you work at night, you work during the weekends, you never disconnect. I remember that I took all my holidays and I took 2 days or 3 days per week so that I could work every day a little bit, not 8 hours, but then I didn't feel guilty. And now it's it's quite better, because we leave the kids 8 hours and we focus, we work, and then we still have a lot of time to stay together and play.
So that leads me to another question related to pros and cons related to this. So you did mention, Elena, that one of the cons was never feeling like you could really turn off work. Neos, did you have any experiences of any pros or cons related to working at home or having to come between the office and all of that?
Yeah, sure. So thanks for inviting me. It's a pleasure to stay here and to share with you this time and this nice conversation. I'm a little bit, I'm sharing different feelings with all of you. I'm a situation between Nuria and Sonia. We are 4 now at home, but I gave birth my second daughter at the peak of the second wave of the pandemic at the end of October. So the situation was extremely complicated in terms of not only how to set all the spaces at home for my 7-year-old daughter stays and could follow more or less the classes and the courses, but also to keep safe, with this situation that for me it was important because I was pregnant. So I would say that there were more cons than pros, obviously. So let's say that for me, globally, the year was really good in terms of my personal and my professional experience, but I had to learn again how to invent myself and my family in order to live in peace, or somehow in peace altogether, because all of us, we had different approaches, we need different things, and we were all together in the same flat. So and we, all of these things, they had to fit in a very hard way from time to time. The pros is that we learned to stay together, and we were more close one to the other. And the cons is that for me it was really difficult to balance this situation, and I need quite a lot of time to more or less to stay happy with the world, that how was it changed. So it was a little bit the idea. So from the one side, it was a new opportunity to redefine how we spend the time, and the cons is that I was used to, or I need to do much more things than the ones that before they did the school or my family or the others.
So what would you consider to be the most challenging aspect then of the whole entire situation? I mean, obviously having a child during the peak of the second wave of the pandemic in itself is very nerve-wracking. Was there anything else outside of that, also maybe work-related as well, that you would consider to be extremely challenging balancing besides the family aspects?
The balance by itself. So how to balance the situation, it was the most challenging thing. So how to wake up in the morning and to help your daughter to connect and to stay healthy, and try to help her to understand the situation, because for her it was also difficult. But 1 hour after, I had a meeting, a remote meeting in another completely different topic, while my daughter was trying to solve math problems, no, let's say like this. So the challenging it was to split myself in different behaviors or different aspects that usually I wouldn't do it.
Okay. And Sonia, how about you? What did you find to be the most challenging aspect of this past year?
Yeah, I think I also agree about the family related challenges. I agree that trying to find 8 hours a day while taking care of a baby, that's very demanding. That was challenging. But yeah, in the other side, in the scientific side, I would say that not seeing your colleagues in a daily basis, so you can have like close conversations and share like issues that you have in the lab and concerns, and this can be done online, but it's not the same than face-to-face chit-chatting, you know. So these tiny chats help a lot in the end to move on your project and remove your worries about if you are doing good or not. So yeah, this face-to-face interaction with other scientific colleagues, that's one of the big cons.
Yeah, I can agree from my viewpoint as well. The lack of having the face-to-face in person is a very different environment. So we've talked about pros and cons and challenges that we faced. I think another question that I would really like to know is, what have you found the most beneficial or surprisingly positive? And Elena, I'd like to bring that to you.
Well, for me, it's very beneficial to be able to combine telework and presential work in the lab, because when I have a lot of computer work, I can focus better. And then when there is something new in the lab, I can come here and I come super happy because I'm not at home that day. It's true that it's a bit, at the beginning was a bit sad because the building was empty and the people that was working in COVID projects, they look really like tired and down, and it was a bit bad. For me, it was so good, and I was like, today I go to the lab, and I am super excited. And also surprisingly positive that is that I work when I work at home. I'm with my husband, so now we spend a lot of time together because we have lunch together and we talk, and we are doing fine. That I hear that was not the case for everybody with the lockdown. So yeah, I'm surprised that we are becoming friends.
And how about yourself, Nuria? What have you found to be very beneficial or surprisingly positive in this situation?
For me, I think the most beneficial was knowing much better what is closer to me. So knowing better my family, knowing better my city, all the possibilities that it has, and how we can enjoy it, and also that nowadays my kids really understand how many duties a house has, and we have learned to share all of them, and not only sharing the duties, but sharing the responsibilities. For example, currently when I am working from home most of the day, and I am cooking normally during the working week. So the weekend I do not cook at all, and they take care of all the meals, and I am just eating with them, and they I am just I learned to eat things that I would never do because I take recipes from everywhere, even from YouTubers or whatever. But they learn also. All the process, like go to the supermarket, buy anything they need, or check if there is at home, and then knowing that this is their responsibility and that we need them to take it. So there are also some positive things on that.
If I can add something in this
Absolutely.
regard, I think that for me the most positive thing was not to take a plane. So and this is the best new that and the best thing that it happened, because usually we had some trips from time to time, my partner and myself, and it's something that 1 year ago or 1.5 years ago, nobody could imagine that it could be possible, no? That you could prepare a remote a project in remote, a big survey. So you can do it, and I think that from my point of view, we should learn we should learn from it. So the trips, the travels, the planes, they have a huge impact in a family. It doesn't matter if you are a male or a female, because at the end, if you share more or less the same kind of work. In our case, in my case, we both have some trips, and it's wonderful to see that we can do more or less the same thing without taking planes every 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks. It happens quite often in my case, or the case of my partner, and it's wonderful to have this opportunity, and we suddenly learn that this is possible, and I hope that it will stay for a long time. This change in the habit.
Excellent. Absolutely. I was going to ask.
Related to what you say, I think I want to point out that it's very beneficial for the environment. So all these people that is not taking planes or taking the car to the workplace, this reduced a lot the emissions of the CO2, and also saved a lot of time for all these people that works 1 hour away from their home. So it's almost 2 hours a day that you are not in the road. So I think from that side, it's very positive that you can at least some days homework.
Yes, it has been very beneficial in that way as well, at least for the environment. We've seen lots of effects from that. So we've talked now about what we found to be beneficial. A very important aspect of this, and we've seen this in the news and in studies, and we're going to see this for years to come, is related to mental health. So I would like to pose the question to our panelists here on what have you been doing to help maintain good mental health during the situation now, during the new normal? And I'd like to start with,
Okay.
if you would please.
Yeah, so I think it has been a evolving situation. At the very beginning, it was like, okay, stay quiet and don't do anything, so, and try to get used to this to the new situation. So I think that first of all, at least in my case, it was the first action. Let's say it was resilience. So we couldn't. We need to get used to the new situation. We could not go against the situation. It is happening, and then we cannot complain about it. We should observe and understand that the world has changed to some extent, of differently, and we have to think and to act differently than before. And the second one, it was for me to separate in time. So in the morning I'm doing this, in the afternoon I'm doing this, these 2 hours. Be very flexible with the time that I spend doing having meetings or staying with my daughter. And the last one, it was not to think in the near future, let's say like this, not to think in the long term. In the near future, it means, so next week, in 1 month, I need to fix, I have these challenges and I have these duties, personal and professional duties, and go one step after the other, because the long term, even now, it's very difficult to make plans in 1 year or 1.5 years. Just to, okay, now we have this situation, now we can go home, we can stay working partially here, we can have some meetings with the students, so let's do it, and let's try to use the time and to profit the time, and try to do it the best we could. And this is a little bit the idea. For the mental health, I think this is I think that we all lost a little bit of mental health, and I think it's all of us, I guess, that we say, okay, I'm getting crazy. I mean, I cannot. The situation is really hard, and we never imagined to stay here with the mask and trying to keep 2 meters distance, no? And I gave birth to my second daughter alone, and this is something that you never imagine. And the mental health, I think that I lost at least those things that were my things, the things that were specifically mine, and I had the things that I used to do at work, because this was also my time, the time that I was not sharing with my family, but also the time that I spent with friends and colleagues and going outside or whatever. So I think that I lost mental health, and the only thing that I'm trying to do now is to recover the things that I did before. But that's a little bit all.
Thank you, nice. Nuria, how about yourself? I mean, you have a slightly different situation.
I think I need to
Yes, we have some technical problems, it appears. I think that for me the most challenging was to keep my mental health. So I was so focused on others not to lift their mental health, but I was forgetting to keep mine, and yes, the most challenging thing was that to find to discover that I needed to keep it also mine, and that I needed some time just for me, even at home with everybody, and I needed some time for me. So I found some activities to do by myself to keep me healthy, and yes, and to give everybody their own responsibility to keep theirs, being there, but not keeping the challenge to being responsible of that for everybody in my closer bubble.
Yes. So with that in mind, related to good mental health, if you could pass the microphone back to Sonia, please. What tips, Sonia, do you have related to mental health, teleworking, and making your life easier and related to all of this? I mean, I know that your situation has been, again, different, seeing as that you've moved during all of this and again, across the world. Is there anything in particular that has helped you maintain good mental health, has helped you with teleworking? Are there any tips that you can give related to that?
Yeah. So I think one of the basic things that we did at home to like do a successful teleworking is have a separate room for working with a good desk and a good office chair that you can sit a lot of hours a day, and have a like nice setup of the computer and screen, so you feel that somehow you are not in your house but you are at work, even if it's a room of your house. So it's special because we just entered to that house, so we could rebuild from scratch the house to have 2 separate rooms for my partner and for me. So I think having that like isolated space for working, once you enter the room you feel you are at work, that was one of the best things we have done. And the second thing is to like share tasks. So we made kind of a schedule with my partner and me to take care of the baby and work. So he wakes up earlier and starts working earlier, and then takes the baby, and in the afternoon I start like my heavy work at late evening. So this sharing of tasks is very necessary. So in the house duties, I would say we share exactly 50-50%. I'm not really doing more than him in the house. So this really helps, because if I had to do all the cooking or the cleaning or this, that would be extra challenge. So yeah, having these pre-organized schedules is very important to have a good working balance.
Thank you. And Elena, sure.
I also wanted to add that one very important thing almost for me was to accept errors, mostly my errors, my not capacity to keep everything, the errors on the performance of my work, or the technical problems with teleconference, the misunderstandings due to virtual meetings, all these kind of things, to accept that they will arrive and then they are there, and I'll be missing things or doing errors, and I need to accept them, and that's all.
Yeah,
Um,
this is important because at some point, you have to say, I'm not a super a superheroine, so I'm a person, and as a person, I can do this or I can do that. I cannot do both things at the same time. So, and it goes a little bit hand with hand with what you say. It's the priority, how to prioritize. We have no any experience, so what's more important? If it's more important to finish this part of the work which is missing, or it's more important to stay with your baby or to stay with your daughter doing the math exercise. So, and at some point, I mean, the situation forces us to decide things and force us to work under pressure and to be women under pressure, and it applies to a male or a female. I think that we made things and we learn from our errors, or even we could also learn from the things that to say, oh, this was nice, this was a good decision, and at that time it has a positive influence in the things that went after, no? But at some point, it's something that you cannot control the situation. It's not. I think that from my point of view, we are quite lucky on two different aspects. First, on the capacity that we have to work at home and to share and to balance, although difficult, but on to balance the personal and professional situation. On the other hand, I think that our work in this pandemic, it has been reinforced, because the picture of a science, or the picture of somebody who is working in science, I think that it has been reinforced, the figure of the scientist, which is definitely good for our daily work. It will. I hope that in the near future it's going to has an impact not only on the things that we are doing, but also on the projects that we could obtain. So we will have more opportunities. No, we are not losing momentum with this pandemic. Probably it has been a lockdown. We will need to rearrange a lot of things, but we have a lot of different possibilities in the near future to try to go one step further in what we are doing, from the professional point of view.
So from that perspective, I'd like to bring it to Elena. With the future in mind, how would you like to see things in the future? How do you feel that these opportunities we've experienced, or detrimental things that have happened, what do you think we should keep? What things do you think we should get rid of? And what progression do you think we should have moving forward now that we are in this new situation?
Well, one specific thing that I agree with my colleagues is about the meetings, because now really a one-day meeting takes one day. This is nice. And I think this is something that we should learn, that it's doable and we should keep. And as Sonia said, also for the environment. So I think that in our specific area, this is one thing that we should try to keep. At least the organizers, let's hope that they see that the meetings are the same efficient, and let's keep it. It's true that, as Sonia said, there are conversations that are not planned, that come out during lunchtime or in the corridor, that also help in our job. But it's true that for balancing with the personal life, the meetings abroad takes a lot of time, and because one day meeting in the end takes 3 afternoons, no? So for for the partner that they stay at home with the kids, it's a lot as well. So, and dangers, I should think about this to answer properly, but I think that maybe a danger could be that I think it's not my case, but people get used to stay at home, not going out, and we're kind of missing the personal interaction, and maybe this is difficult to retake because I already hear from people that I should go, but finally I stay at home. No, so we are getting used. We have seen that we can do a lot of things from home, and I'm afraid that when this is over, when one day this is over, people get not, I would not say scared, but to go back to work in the normal situation.
And how about yourself, Nuria?
I was thinking about the same thing about meetings. I think that a lot of events has demonstrated that they do not need to be in person, because we have seen a lot of events with very few interaction that can remain virtual as they are now. But really, some events we need to have this interaction, and I think that we need to learn more how to feel as free as we feel in person in a virtual way. We need to improve our skills on virtual relationships, and because the problem is not the screen. The problem is that we do not feel the same in front of the screen than in front of someone. So it's something that we need to learn to do it better, to have a better personal virtual relationships, to build this deep conversations on our work, on our performance and everything. So there is work to do there. But I think that we have a lot of opportunities to keep from this situation, and remote working has trained us on a lot of skills in this sense. So yes, I think we should keep some of the things that we have learned in this pandemic.
I agree. I think one of the main things we've actually shown is that we can function in almost any job with teleworking as an aspect of it and still be successful and be able to achieve goals. I'd like to actually now ask Neus your opinion on this in terms of opportunities, things you think are semi-dangerous to continue moving forward with as practices, and how you would like to see things in the future, near future, of course.
Yeah.
Given the situation.
I think that we should learn from what happened, because first of all, it could happen also in 2 years, or it doesn't matter. So we could have a vaccine. It may work. It may not work. We should learn from the things. And I think that, but the most important thing is that we could choose. So the point is the choice. If I think that I've learned quite a lot during this pandemic and during this time of the lockdown. For me, the most difficult thing was not be able to choose what I want to, what I could do. So now, if I have the opportunity, I would say, okay, I would stay working 2 days at home, probably. And this teleworking is going to be very good, high quality time. And to spend one whole day preparing one proposal or finishing one paper or to discussing with a colleague, obviously depending on the colleague, some of them it's easier to do teleworking or to have a meeting, a remote meeting, and with others it's more difficult. So it depends on a little bit on the person that you have the meeting. The point is that from my point of view, it's the choice. If you can choose and you can say, okay, I will stay 2 days at home working, this work will be high quality time. If the babies or the child, they will go at school, it's going to be much better. Otherwise, it's very difficult. I mean, not I insist not for the male, not only for the female, it's for the whole family. If you stay, if the kids are at home, you are not free to work. You don't have the same high quality time that you had here at the ICN, or if they go having some day out with your family-in-law. No, it's completely different, and I think that we should learn on the good things to be able to decide in a near future what you want to do or what you can do or what's the best thing during the pandemic. From my point of view, the teleworking is good. Probably not for the meetings, but for the high quality time that you are at home. If you close the mail and you can spend your one whole morning preparing this manuscript that was there for a long time. The telemeeting by itself, I agree that it's not. I would change it if I could. And regarding a little bit the situation, the family, the personal situation, I think that I've learned that we could stay 3 months at home. And we are all alive. I mean, it's a thing that it's hard to deal with your partner, with the kids, and even if you love them quite a lot, at some point you say, okay, go out. I need to stay alone. I'm missing this point, and I think that the point is that to have a good mental health, to have the decision, to be free to decide what you want to do or what it's better for you at this moment, and to learn from all the new opportunities that we have. For sure, the trips, it's very clear for me. And then to say, okay, if in 1 year or in the next week or in the next month, I will decide to stay 3 days at home, these days will be high quality time, and that's all. It's not only a matter of the time that you spend. It can be 8 hours, it can be 4 hours, but in 4 hours you can do more things that in 8 hours during pandemic, because during pandemic you had not 24 hours a day, but you had at least 12, 14 hours free to work. No duties, no family, no trips, and in principle you had plenty of time. But I think that we all agree that we do not feel that we use this time to get high quality time. It was more or less to spend time, and from time to time you are doing nice things in the middle, but it's the feel that to spend time. Okay, we are spending days, we are spending weeks, we are spending months, and the things they were happening, and that's all. This is my personal opinion.
Of course, and thank you for sharing. Before I bring it to Sonia, I would like to remind everybody who is out there listening in, if you have any questions, please use the questions Q&A button and submit them, and we will open up the panelists to your questions after Sonia answers. So please, if you have any questions, feel free to contribute them. All right, Sonia, how about you? Same question.
Yeah, I think I agree that the most important thing to have quality work is that you can choose when to do it. If you want to choose this week staying at home for remote working because you are writing a paper or preparing a proposal, that should be doable. There should be no one that stops you to do that. And then in turn, you're very productive during that time that you choose yourself to commit to that work. Yeah, it's true that if it's a forced lockdown, like what happened, you are not really doing productive work most of the time because you are taking care of all these other things. And yeah, also I wanted to add about the dangers of the remote working when it comes for the meetings. I encountered myself that sometimes I had overlapping meetings that I could not choose whether to not attend to. So I was swapping between these two meetings, and in the end, you're not really paying attention to both of them. So yeah, the remote working also has this danger of multitasking that's like not very productive work, or you are attending a meeting that you really didn't want to attend, but you should attend, but you have in the back of your mind, I should be working on this. And I don't know, if you are in person in a seminar room attending to the meeting, that feeling that I'm not working because you're not in front of the computer, it's not there.
It's true.
So yeah, and also yeah, I agree that the face-to-face meetings sometimes are really important because we are humans, and even if we learn how to do video conferencing and improving our skills in e-meetings, the face expressions and the body expressions and the confidence to talk to the other person is not the same if you are like 2 meters away, that in the small screen, and with the distractions. Oh, do you hear me? Can you see me? And all these things.
And even to find the link, no, it's something that it's like, where is the link for this meeting? I have 100 mails, and all of them, they have a different link, Zoom,
if you search Zoom,
and
you get 7 emails.
Teams or whatever.
Yeah.
And at some point, the only constant thing is that you are seeing yourself, and I don't want to see myself while having a meeting. I want to see the other, and this is a very stupid thing, I would say, but it's somehow is changing the perception that you have, even against yourself. So it's your own perception that change when you have a screen with small slots, one yourself, and when you're talking and where you're explaining something, you see yourself there and say, what's the hell I'm doing? I mean, I don't want to hear myself. But these kind of things, I think that they change the overall perception of a meeting, and it's important to, as you say, to be able to manage,
Yeah. I think one of the things that we all have to keep in mind, especially with things becoming more digital, is when we are in a seminar that we're online with, we're at a seminar, and we need to mentally remind ourselves we don't, even though we're in front of our computer, we shouldn't feel the need to be doing 300 more tasks. And it feels too easy to have too many tasks on the list, right? When you're sitting in front of your computer all day and you're like, oh, I have this paper to read, and I have this article to write, and I have this grant proposal to put together. And I think that that's one of those balancing things, is understanding that we're not always on the clock, even though we're at home, which is also where we now work. And I think that was one of those things that I think all of us have agreed have been on there. Interestingly enough, we are able to luckily have, due to this technology, our fifth panelist who is not able to be here in person today, Sophia. Hi, Sophia. Will be joining us into giving some insights on her end. So I'm going to try to mute myself and add some sound so we can hear her. So give me 1 second, please, while I mute.
Yeah, hello everyone. I'm just gonna go through all the questions very quickly so you don't have to cut your sound on and off. So from the beginning, when the lockdown started, I just gave birth to my son. So that was pretty tricky. I was basically kicked out of the hospital, so because they were closing all the floors and redistributing everything so they could host COVID patients and stuff. So that was pretty intense because I didn't care at all for coronavirus or anything. I mean, I knew how important it was, but I just gave birth. I wanted to hold my baby, and I just wanted to be home and safe. And then the whole 8 p.m. clapping and partying thing started. So for 2 months, my neighbors went full on crazy, and they had parties every night on the balconies, and that was pretty intense as well, and awful for me. I I wouldn't say crazy, but I went a little bit crazy, and I was very, very mad at all my neighbors, really. Good thing though, I had one other neighbor that she had also just recently given birth, so we became really close friends, and we helped each other out. So whenever, because they were, so they're both blind, so they are at risk from pretty much everything related to COVID, because they have to touch everything when they go to the supermarket. So we would help them get their groceries, and they would help us with, I don't know, they had so many preparation for their baby. So they knew pretty much everything there is to know about newborns, and I don't know, it was really great. That thing was really very good. When the restrictions were lifted, the first thing we did was move. So we said goodbye to all of our awful neighbors and moved to a house, which made my life a lot easier. Basically, because I didn't have to share my space with anyone else. But it also helped us a lot on the teleworking part of the job, because I could set up a proper office, which is where I'm sitting now, and I don't know, not being interrupted constantly by anybody's noises or, well, you all know how apartments work. I'd say pros and cons would be, well, teleworking I think is a pro, definitely. But I also think it's a con if you can only telework. So it's good that we have the liberty to go for a few days to the ICN2 and do our thing over there, especially from our part, from health and safety. We kind of have to be there to check on everything and check that everyone's doing the right thing, as in not only corona related, but also, I don't know, waste management, and I don't know, are the labs running properly? It's not like we spy on you guys, but we do have to make sure that everyone is doing, I mean, the right thing. So that's also a pro. The fact that we have to go to work at some days is also a very good point for me, because even though I have my own space to work at home, sometimes it just feels lonely. So I don't know, I do miss the interaction with other people. I have been following quite strictly the rules from all the different types of lockdowns we've been going through. So I haven't been really meeting with my friends or my family. My family lives in the other side of the country. My in-laws are just in-laws. So I haven't been really able to communicate with the people I care. I mean, we do set up like WhatsApp calls and I don't know, just like now. So I talk to people on screen, but I don't really have the time I used to have before. I don't know, I miss that, like most people, I guess. But again, the most challenging thing would be the first few months, the first 6 months of my baby. It was pretty hard to, first of all, the first couple of months adapting to this new life, because this is my first child. So adapting to this new parenthood, and then not being able to do anything that was ever normal for us was hard. Then coming back to work, but so the kindergartens weren't open, so I had to come back to work, but I couldn't leave my child, and my partner had to go to work, so I was pretty much on my own. That was pretty challenging. So, but anyway, as surprisingly positive, I think the fact that we were pushed to that limit where we couldn't stand being in our apartment made us move. So I don't know how it happened, but we just got lucky, and we saw this one house, we loved it, and we moved in like, I don't know, less than a month. And that also happened when I just re-entered work. So that was the most positive thing of this whole pandemic year. I think the fact that we could do that super easy. I mean, I wouldn't say super easy, but really, really fast. As for good mental health, I just have all the questions right here on the screen. That's what I'm looking at. For good mental health, I mean, because I'm on the health and safety area, I have all these tips, and we keep sharing we try to share with you all the ergonomic tips and how to telework, and I mean, all these things that nowadays are extra important that were always neglected for some reason because people didn't really look at it that much. But now, from out of nowhere, well, because of the coronavirus, psychosocial issues and ergonomic issues are first on the list, right? So for me, keeping a good mental health has had a lot to do with my job directly. So I did, like I said, set up my own space to work, set it in the right way, like my screens at my arm's distance. I don't have any direct light on my screen, so my window's over there. That helps a lot with your eyesight and stuff, so that doesn't bother you, so you don't get like stressed, or your body doesn't get stressed in one same position. And then I also I had to do different things. So when I do my 5 minutes breaks, I just take care of my plants, or I don't know. We still are sort of rebuilding the house ourselves. So I just go do stuff, which is what is best recommended. I think when you take a break, do take a break from work and do something completely different. That's helped me. But also the fact that the kindergarten was open did help a lot, which is not something we can control, but it is what it is, I guess. So yeah, I think that's for mental health. Also, yeah, I think one of the things that's also very important for mental health is to spend quality time with the ones you're stuck with. So in my case, that would be my husband and my baby. And we do take 1 hour a day at least to just be there with each other and talk. And we're not watching a movie, we're not doing anything else. Sometimes that could be over dinner, which is also quite usual here in Spain. Like, I think it's a very, very common thing to do. That, I mean, everywhere, I guess, but we do appreciate a lot a good meal with our people around, right? So quality time, even if it's just as little as you can get with your people, is super important for mental health. So you mentioned something about tips for teleworking. I think I already mentioned that a good setup is great. Not being obsessed with it is also good. And well, if you guys want to stop me at some point, just let me know. I'll just keep on going until you tell me. So for what new opportunities?
I do have
Yeah.
a question that was posed that I'd actually like to pose to you, and then we can come back to how you would like to see things in the near future, if that's all right. Unfortunately, due to mics and sound, I have you muted, so I'll ask the question, then I'll unmute you for the rest of us to hear and mute myself. A question was posed, do you think that teleworking some days a week will help you not only work-wise, such as focusing better in computer-related work, but also help you with the conciliation of tasks?
Yeah. Yeah, teleworking only a few, I mean, that's what actually helps me at least to only telework some days. So even if it's, I mean, everyone has their own working pace, right? So you should be able to choose how many days you want to telework and the amount of time you want to telework straight on. So during the crazy times of the pandemic, most people had to work at night, which it's just not helping anyone. But now that it's more of a stable situation, if you telework, like I myself telework 3 days and then go 2 days to the ICN2. So I sort of cram everything I have to do online, or because we use online programs and stuff. I cram all of that on my teleworking days, and then I cram all the activities I have to do at ICN2 the days I go. So the days I go, you won't see me in the office. You'll probably see me running around all the time with tape or anything, or even picking up lab waste. So yeah, it does. I think it's the best way to do it right now, given the situation it is. And it does, at least it does help me conciliate at home with my life, because I get to do, so the days I telework, I get to do stuff around on my breaks. And that gives me time in the evening to do nothing and be with my baby or be with my husband. So at least for me, that's the best thing about teleworking and regarding the conciliation part.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Appreciate your response. I think we're now at time. We need to move on with the rest of the program. So I will turn this back over for the awards portion.
Thank you very much. That has been really interesting. It's really an experience to give the voice to ICN2 researchers, male researchers, to share experiences. I'm sure that most of you have recognized yourself in several of the different situations and points of view that have been shared today. This is not over, of course. We are still working for this new normality, for this new state in which the pandemic is still, unfortunately, in the top list of our constraints. But also on here, I think it has been the nice part of it. We have recognized that there are also opportunities and things that we would like to keep and that might improve our life in the future. So thank you very much for all these ideas. And I'm afraid that now it's the time to move into this awards ceremony for this 2020. As you know, these awards are part of the Women Talent Program of the ICN2 that tries to give visibility to young female researchers at the Institute. We try to give visibility to them, but also to support them in the young or in the early stages of their research career by recognizing not only the excellence, but also the leadership in their work. You will see the list. We are very happy, very proud of the scientific activity and the scientific production here at the ICN2. But we also hope that these awards serve also to encourage all young researchers to pursue a scientific career and make the most for their professional lives. So there is a lot of women here that are doing very well. I hope that they serve as example. I hope that they give visibility to the work that can be done, and that this becomes an encouraging point for future generations. Okay, so let me give you some numbers regarding this, the state of the productivity, scientific productivity at the ICN2. Well, dealing with papers, we have tried to select which are the papers in which there is a female researcher in the young or early stage of their research career, that means PhD and postdocs, that have written a paper or seen a paper during 2020 as first authorship. We all know that even this can be a controversial item. This is important in CVs to improve the visibility of the work that has been done by selecting different positions in the authorship list. And unfortunately, it's really relevant for the evaluation of curriculums to see who is the first authorship. So we can discuss whether it's good or not, but in any case, that's what it is. So we want to visualize this event and visualize this fact and make it more close to women. So from all the papers that have been authored by members of the ICN2, there is a total of 44 papers that we have counted, members of ICN2 in the stage of PhD and postdoc. Numbers might oscillate a little bit because we lack some few numbers and few authorships, but this is not the total number of publications of ICN2, as you can imagine. So we have 16 finalists or publications that have become finalists for this selection. That represents about 36% of the total of publications authored by members of the ICN2 in the early stages of their research career, which is good, because if we account for the part of the staff that are young researchers or postdocs, that's approximately the same amount. So we think that we are doing very well. We are performing very well, and these are very good news. Moreover, taking into account this specific pandemic situation that was happening in 2020. So we're very happy about these numbers. And let me also talk a little bit on how we try to evaluate this best paper, or this the criteria that we try to apply to select this best paper. The scientific quality was amazing for all of them. We have to say this. And what we try to do is to go a little bit away from the classical selection of papers by the impact factor, for example, which is something that we can discuss whether how tight is this to excellence. So we did the first stage to do a screening process to select some few papers. And then in the second stage of the evaluation, we try to emphasize different aspects that we think that make this quality or excellence evaluation more fair. And I think they are listed here. I'm not sure if you are sharing the screen or seeing that. I would like to mention that we were, for example, paying a lot of attention on the quality of the results and the methodology applied, but also the fact that this was open access or open data in the content of the scientific paper. Also, remarking the number of collaborations in the paper, how interdisciplinary was this work, and also the quality of the writing, the quality of the figures, right? So with all this together, we try to make this final selection. Good. So this is the final list of papers that we evaluate. And what I would like to do here is just to congratulate all of the authors. You are already winners because you have managed to publish excellent work in very interesting scientific journals, and the quality of these works is amazing. So no doubts that all of you are already winners. But unfortunately, we need to select one to give this award. Last year, after a long debate, we decided to give two prizes, one for papers authored by a PhD student and another one for papers authors by postdocs, because of course there is a different level of seniority in both cases. Well, this case, the distribution in this year was not exactly proportional among PhD students and postdocs. So in order to be more fair and try to make it more, to give a little bit of equity in the selection of the prize, the committee, the jury, decided to give two recognitions, one for the best full paper and one for the best review paper. And also between full papers and review papers, there is a slight difference in the content, how are their shape. So it made it very difficult to contrast and compare to, for example, one review paper with one full paper and decide which was best. So we decided as well to split this prize and give these two awards. So the best paper for full paper award for this 2020 is the paper authored by Olalla Calvo Lozano. It's entitled Fast and Accurate Pneumonia Diagnosis in Human Samples Using a Label-Free Plasmonic Biosensor. It's a paper published during this 2020 in the journal Nanomaterials. And we would like to congratulate Olalla for this selection. And in the second category, which is the best review paper, I'm happy to announce that the winner is Maria Soler for a very amazing review on the engineering photonic solutions for COVID-19. And this is a topic that you can expect that it had to come out this year. It is a review that was published in APL Photonics in this 2020. And we also congratulate her for this very nice work. Good. There is still a second category, which is the best PhD thesis. And here I have some good news that I would like to share with you and hope that will come up in the future editions. So last year we were comparing, we had a remarkable amount of theses to evaluate. These theses were defended in the ICN2 between second half of 2018 and 2019. This year, we are evaluating all the theses defended in the period of 2020, and we extended this period up to February 2021. But unfortunately, we only had 3 female theses, okay? This can look like awful numbers, but we do think they are not. And let me explain it a little bit. If we go over the amount of PhD students and the proportion of male and female PhD students that the ICN2 has held during the last years, we do see that effectively there is a decrease in the number or the percentage of female PhD students that was happening back in 2017. That was coinciding with the extinguishing of all high, for example, thesis contracts, thesis PhD contracts, and several motivations that can explain these numbers. But we worked very hard at that time to develop the PhD program, which we do believe that this program was led by the Human Resources Department and has done a great job on attracting talent, international talent, and this talent really is well compensated, and we are also attracting female talent. So we do think that these numbers of the PhD or the success of the PhD program can be seen in the numbers of the percentage of female PhD students. And you can see in the graph, for example, that now in 2020, we have increased the number of PhD students up to 40%. So the trend from the implementation of this PhD program has been increasing, nicely increasing. We are very happy with it. We are very proud of it. And we do believe that in the future editions of the best PhD thesis awards, we will have a hard work on selecting the best thesis because we expect the number of theses to increase as well. As you can imagine, the theses that are defended this year correspond to students that precisely joined the ICN2 during this time, this week time in 2017, around between 2016, 17, 18, right? So these numbers, even they might look wrong, we are very, very positive on them, and we do expect that they will for sure improve in the future. Good. So from these three finalists, three theses, we have these three candidatures. The first one is the thesis presented by Sara Martí Sanchez. It was entitled Growth Mechanism and Properties of Semiconductor Nanowires at the Atomic Scale. Supervisor was Jordi Herbiol. We have a second thesis that was presented, defended by Enelia Cristina Peláez Gutiérrez. The title of that thesis was Nanoplasmonic Biosensors for Clinical Diagnosis, Drug Monitoring, and Therapeutic Follow-up. Supervisors in this case were Laura Lechuga and Maria Carmen Estevez. And finally, we have a third thesis that was defended by Patricia Ramirez Priego. The thesis is entitled Low-Cost Point-of-Care Biosensor Device for Clinical Diagnosis in Developing Countries. And the PhD supervisor was also Laura Lechuga. So we want to congratulate this group for the high level of productivity in PhD thesis during this period of time. So without further delay, I would like to announce which is the best PhD thesis selected in the ICN2 2020. And the prize goes to Enelia Cristina Peláez for her thesis entitled Nanoplasmonic Biosensors for Clinical Diagnosis, Drug Monitoring, and Therapeutic Follow-up. And we also want to congratulate her PhD supervisors, that is Laura Lechuga and Maria Carmen Estevez, for the amazing work that they did in this PhD thesis. Well, these awards, beside these diplomas that we will share with the winners, we will send to the winners, keeping all the COVID rules. It's also together with a prize that is to celebrate a seminar in the framework of the ICN2. So dealing the circumstances of COVID, we will deal how to organize this, and we will contact the winners just to make this possible. So with this, I would like to conclude this event. I would like to thank you again very much, the Marketing and Communication Department, for the amazing work that they have been doing here. This is truly like a real plateau here at the ICN2. So I hope that we can take advantage of that in future editions of many more events. I also want to congratulate again and thank again for all the participants. Also to agree to join here and do this kind of a live roundtable. This is a strange format for the current times, but we have been very careful in keeping all the safety rules for COVID. Everybody is wearing masks except me, but I'm very well apart, and I was wearing mask during most of the time. So we do think that by being clever, we can get in touch again and make the live contact, make the most of the live contact, and take advantage of the warmth that this kind of contact allows us to provide to these events. So I think that's all. Thank you very much for your attendance, and hope to see you soon here at the ICN2.